It's the big game week. Leave a comment in the comment sections.
And like and subscribe.
Go Blue. Welcome back, Michigan fans. Here with Coach Thornbladh on the week of the game after a huge win against Northwestern, 50-6. Sent the seniors out on a great note in their last game in the Big House. Think we made tremendous steps, progress forward going into the biggest rivalry in all of college football, maybe in all of sports. Really excited to talk to you about this, Coach. We'll talk about Northwestern a little bit like we always do. We'll talk about the Big Ten and what happened in college football this weekend, a lot of upsets that affected the CFP. And then we will talk about Michigan, Ohio State, the big game, the one for all the marbles in the Big Ten, the one that always matters the most in the scheme of college football. So just getting started, Coach. Wanted to ask you what you thought about Michigan versus Northwestern, us winning 50-6. What do you think about the progression of Davis Warren, how he played, and what did you think about our offensive line? Just let's start there and see where we go from there, Coach.
Well, it's hard to look backwards. This is the biggest week in college football. There's no game that means more historically than this game. And it continues to command national attention. And it has my attention. That's for certain. I'll talk a little bit about that game in a little bit. But Northwestern, here was my general feeling about Northwestern. Northwestern is not one of the best teams in the conference. In fact, I think Purdue and Maryland and Northwestern are probably on the floor of the conference, although I have regard for Northwestern because they play hard. I felt like we made tremendous progress, and here's what my sense is. My sense is that Coach Martindale, and I think this started with Indiana, came in with a playbook about this thick. And I think that it was a lot to digest for the players. And it happens. It happens because, you want to have all these adjustments and all these blitz packages and cover. But it's hard for the players to digest. And he was coming from pro football. Now, this is my sense. I think they're finally starting to get a hold of what he's trying to do, because you don't see coverage breakdowns. You haven't seen them for the last couple of weeks. And you see a much better defense on third down and a much more difficult defense to score on. So I see a great part of the progress is, I think, after the bye week, and just before that too, it's really coming, the teaching and the concept sort of coming to fruition, and it couldn't be at a better time, in my opinion. I see the same thing on the offensive side of the field. Now, I thought Mullings was sensational, and when he plays well, then Donovan comes right back out because he's a competitor, and then he has big runs. And I hope that we see that again this Saturday. I think that here's how I feel about Davis Warren. He's made remarkable progress. Let's look at him. This kid was told he had leukemia. He was done. He battled through that. He had probably 5-7 starts his senior year of high school. That was it. 3 or 4, I think. He did not play.
COVID got him, Coach.
COVID, and then he also he's coming off this. He battled and beat this significant illness, and what a wonderful story that is. And he had a couple starts here. Then we sat him down because he was careless with the ball. And you can look back at it and say, we shouldn't have done it that way. But when somebody's careless with the ball, you can't play him. And then Orgy came in, and we tried Tuttle, and then we came back to Warren. So Warren is just starting to get some experience, really, as a starting quarterback. And he's starting to see a lot of things better. The game is slowing down for him. Aside from that one ball he threw in the middle, that really sailed on him. And that's because he probably didn't, if you look at his technique, you could probably pick that apart and identify why that ball sailed. He probably didn't come down on his front foot. I'm not certain.
It
The
didn't. It
quarterback
didn't look
guru.
like yeah. Didn't look like he brought his
So,
hip around, followed through, none of that stuff, Coach. It kind of threw
aside
off his
from
back
that,
foot,
he
sailed on
played
him.
a really good game. Now, when you block people, our running backs are going to get positive yardage, and they did that. Old right tackle Link, who everybody has been critical of, played a good game.
Yeah,
He's starting to get it. He's starting to come. The linemen are starting to get to that second level when they block in tandem, and then one guy comes off and gets up to the linebacker. They're starting to do that, and so and the backs are really run hard and they're good. And Mullings, I have great regard to, and Donovan's been a wonderful leader. I think we might have lost Hall. He didn't come back. And then I think Moore, the receiver, number 8, distinguished himself. I hope, and I pray that Loveland will be able to come back. That's critical. That's critical. We need him this game. But all in all, I saw great progress, and they beat a team that of lesser talent, but they beat them soundly, and that's the way they should do it. They dominated them. They put 50 points on the game. That has to give them great confidence. And I think the greatest weapon in our arsenal is our kicker. And I'm
he's
telling
good.
you, that man, he's unbelievable. You put him out there, that goes through. And that guy
Yeah,
has ice water running through his veins, and he's got a leg on him, a leg and a half. And mark my words, and I'm going to talk about this in a minute, he could very well be instrumental in an upset. Because that guy, if we get within 56 yards of those goalposts, kick it. Take the
yeah,
points. Don't go on 4th and 3. Don't do any of that stuff. I don't care about the analytics. Take the points against these guys. And if we do that and the defense plays out of their mind, who knows what can happen. Now, we talked earlier about that great quote. Coach Hayes used to say this: out of adversity, the greatest victories are born. And so I think we talked about last week, a 2-game season. We're 1-0. We have momentum. We are the prohibitive favorite. No one in the country thinks we can win. But it depends. It's not everybody makes choices in life. Our players have to make the choice that we believe we can win. We believe we've improved. We are not the same players we were at the beginning of the year. We're not a mistake team. We're not a penalty-ridden team. We're not going to turn the ball over. They got to make that choice in the morning, and I believe they are in their minds, in their own minds.
yeah,
Upset are sprung in the minds of the underdog,
yeah,
of the underrated team.
yeah,
8%. 8%. They say we have an 8% chance of winning this game. I don't want to get into this.
yeah,
We said we'd start
yeah. We'll
that.
get there.
I
Hold
can't
on.
stop myself because I'm fired up about this game. I think we have an opportunity to win. I'm not
Yes.
conceding the game. We're going to go down there and play.
Well, I think a lot of things play into that. I think Kenneth Grant played inspired against Northwestern. I think he was unstoppable. I think Josiah Stewart has played. Hey, he's played how he did all season. And you saw
getting better.
when we get a hat on a hat. You said it, Coach. When we get a hat on a hat, our running backs find a hole. They get yards. They fall forward. They're physical. They make the defense feel it every time they run the ball. Even Donovan Edwards,
And when,
he is pounding the ball this year. And people want him to hit the
one
big
thing
one.
we know about Donovan, when Donovan plays in this game, he breaks
Yeah.
big ones.
Yes.
He
Yes.
historically has done that. Now, when you're talking about the up front guys, and we know this game is football games are won on the line of scrimmage. They're won up front.
Yeah.
But let's reflect a little bit on the great pass protection we had last week. If you want to know
we
why he
almost
was
threw for 200 yards, 195 yards, Coach. Davis Warren's best game.
He had some time to throw the ball.
Yes.
He made good choices too. There weren't any near interceptions.
That's why Morris, number 8, who you talked about, and then Moore, number 3, they both showed up a little bit. They gave us some promise. It looked like we had some receivers that can get open and catch the ball and make something happen.
Now, what these guys have to do too, once they catch the ball, they have to let their athletic ability express themselves. They have to make a move on a defender. And they have to understand, too, that the pressure comes from the inside out. That's who's pursuing the ball. So if you make a move and you go inside, you go right back out. You go right back out. You replace the tackler. They have to do that. I noticed that they would make shallow cuts on defenders. Make a big move on them, man. Be an athlete, because they are athletes. They have speed. They have talent. Believe in yourself. Defeat that guy, but then get right back out to the boundary. Right back out, because everybody's coming from the inside. And when you get the ball inside, settle in that zone when they play zone, and then cover that ball up and be prepared to be hit, because these are two great safeties. You're going to get hit. And their linebackers can close, and they can run. Their linebackers are former safeties. That's who plays linebacker for them. Yeah. So now, if Colston can't play, then we're going to count on our backup tight end, who's done a good job for us. Yeah, and he's got to be Colston. Yep. He's got to be Lovely. He's got to be a great player. He's got to live up to that, and he's got to respond. And he has to be asked to do that and told to do it and believes he can do it.
I think he can. I think who is it? It's Klein, number 17. Yes. He has some ability. Yes. He catches the ball very well. He gets open. Yep, and then even Bredson had some nice catches out of the flat for first downs last week. He looked like an athlete a little bit. But Coach, one thing
that guy. What a tough leader and a good man, and I'm partial to a guy who, lead blocker, and he'll hit you, and he doesn't miss often. He's whiffed. I've seen him whiff a couple times, but he has to gather himself and get his hat on these guys. And then our backs got to make great cuts. They're going to have to break a tackle or two. Well, they got to hold on to the ball, hold on to the ball.
I think our defensive backs have been getting better every week. I've seen now we still need to close down. We're going to be playing the best receivers we've seen all year. But I think our defensive backs.
We're playing the best receiver group maybe in the history of the Big Ten. Well, maybe the best receiver group since Anthony Carter played alone. Because but this is a gifted. It's a joke, but man, they're good. Now, their tight ends haven't been a big part of it. They have a slot receiver, and then they have a wide, they have a Mecca, and then they have that great Smith, who is general line. I mean, one of the most talented freshmen I've ever seen play college football. He's a man.
Yeah, Coach. I mean, he's as good as it gets. He reclassified. So him and the kid from Alabama have reclassified. They're 17-year-old freshmen, and they are the two best receivers in the country. They're supposed to be at the prom. They're supposed to be at homecoming. They're supposed to be taking their girlfriend to homecoming this week, not playing in the Michigan-Ohio State game.
Yeah. Well, the kid at Indiana knew as well as Smith, but Smith is extraordinary, and he's and they like to run him too, and so we have to handle him. Now, the one thing I know about Wink Martindale is that he has seen great players, and he should know how to negate them.
Yes.
Now, the problem is Ibuka plays slot, and then those guys, him and number 15 are the receivers. So that, that's a problem. And then you throw in that Travion and Judkins, Travion Henderson,
Coach,
and that's
and Tate. Well, that's what I was going to. I want to get. I do want to get there. I want to get there, Coach. But, the Big Ten. Where are we at in the Big Ten? I mean, Oregon's in the game. There's a lot of. Hey, last week BYU lost, Miami lost, all the Alabama lost, Texas A&M lost. A lot of things are shaking up in this college football playoff, and now I know Penn State's rooting for Michigan this week. I'll tell you that. There's going to be some things shaking up this weekend as well. I mean, where are we at with the Big Ten, Coach?
Well, Penn State is if we can upset Ohio State, and that is a monumental task. Believe me, they're a great team. They have 23 guys that are pro prospects, but we list 15. So the disparity of talent is not that great. But if we can beat Ohio State and play a perfect game and have some breaks, then Penn State will have a tiebreaker with Indiana, but Penn State will go and play in the championship against Oregon on the basis of the cumulative schedule. They didn't play each other, so there's no tiebreaker there. And then Penn State has played a more difficult schedule. And I
Yeah.
had talked about that all the time. Indiana has played, most of the teams they played, other than Ohio State. Michigan, when they played us, they made us 5-5. Had we were one victory over 500. Washington was one victory over 500. And so was Nebraska. So they have not played a very difficult schedule, and it's not highly regarded because of that. There's questions around the country whether or not they deserve to be in the college football playoffs. I'm going to leave that up to Ward Manuel and those people because my focus is now on Ohio State University. There's no more important game. This game can really make the season a success. Now, it's not just playing well down there. We're going to play to win. We're going to play
Yeah.
for a victory. And it will not be easy. They are a talented, gifted team. They all came back and said, well, because of 3 straight losses to Michigan, that they felt like their careers were not complete and they wanted to leave no doubt and they wanted to come back, win the national championship. But the big exclamation point, the big thing want to do is beat Michigan because they have not, we had COVID. It's been 5 years since they beat Michigan.
Yeah.
So that is difficult for those people down there to digest and take.
Well,
They don't like it. And I will say this. Those players came back to play in this game and win it, and to win the Big Ten title and win the national championship. But they also came back because they were paid a lot of money.
Yeah.
So the motivation, and I'm not sure how you rank them, and maybe they're equal, but the motivation, they kept all those kids because they came in and they paid them all money to stay. So that's the way it is right now. But I think a large part of the motivation for those guys, and more power to them, that's okay.
No,
I'm a cap. I'm money, but they paid those kids to come back. The whole thing. Let me just digress. The whole thing is crazy. Nebraska, they said they're going to 50 players have declared for the portal at Nebraska. Everybody's got to face the money. It's a pro football, but it's not. There's no boundaries. Pro football is collective bargaining agreement, and then there's a salary cap, and then there's rules about how you can mess with players and free agency. This thing is just the Wild West. I don't like it.
Well, even the coaches, their kids declare for the transfer portal. Used to be, hey, you're transferring, leave. Now it's okay. We'll see where you go. Maybe you'll come back. And there's so many. It's not like it used to be, Coach. You declare for the transfer portal. It's like you're just seeing where you can go. It doesn't mean you're leaving automatically.
I think the kids should profit. I said this all along. When I coached and played, we couldn't give a kid a sweatsuit. If I handed a kid a candy bar, that was a violation. The NCAA, all those administrators, all those people collected all this money. And in the end, it's the kids. And the kids make the game. Well, they need coaching, they need instruction, they get a quality education, I'm hoping. We talked about graduation rates. Does anybody ever talk about graduation rates? I don't hear anybody ever talk about
Just
it.
you. But
maybe in the Ivy League, no one gives a damn if they graduate.
But Coach, that's
out there. And so let them be compensated. But we got to have rules here. How are the teams? Now, Michigan probably has as many billionaires as any school in the country, and as many alumni that are very wealthy that are willing and ready to participate and support the program. I'm telling you, they're there. There's some very, very successful people, and they probably match up to anybody as it relates to total net worth of the alumni group and the guys. But so what's going to happen to those schools that don't have those kind of resources? It's going to be difficult for them to be competitive. I mean, and then what about the Mid-American schools? And
I agree, Coach. I agree, but there's more parity in college football than there ever has been. So you keep saying this.
Maybe because of the transfer portal, I don't know.
I'm telling you, the transfer portal is keeping it sound. There's more parity. There's more losses. It's not. It used to be, hey, people paid people, but nobody knew about it, and those teams went undefeated, and we're always in the BCS national title.
And that was
but
wrong too.
but this is the this is the joke everybody's saying now. They're going, hey, what'd you guys pay Bryce Underwood? Well, hopefully we didn't give him a cheeseburger, because that's what Jim Harbaugh got in trouble for. But
Jimmy got
but oh,
sanctioned
we
for
can
giving a
pay
guy
him.
a God's sake.
We can pay him during
That's
COVID.
the NCAA.
Yeah, yeah.
That's a ludicrousy and hypocrisy of the NCAA. And Connor Stallions, my God, that, and I talked about this, that makes no difference. And every other high school coaches scout before the opponent before the game. For God's sake, you know, I mean,
Do
you
you,
can't scout because other schools don't want to give a scout $2,000.
Jesse,
We talked about that at
you
length.
think
This
Jesse
is Ohio
Minter's?
State week. This is
You
Ohio
think
State week.
you
And
think Connor Stallions is calling Jesse Minter while he's on the sidelines for the Chargers?
no,
Or do you
no,
think you think
no, 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 no,
the
no.
fact that people think that Jesse Minter was listening?
There's five guys over there holding up signs. Who's live and who's not? And then what are they going to do? And then once you come up there, people are going to change the play. And what about a run pass option? On the, you know, there's so many variables.
Well,
It's
anyway,
just ludicrous
Coach,
to think that.
I don't want to talk to you about that today. We got too much important stuff with Michigan, Ohio State.
Well, you know, it's okay because I've had some Ohio State guys talk to me about that today without
Well,
understanding. And you know, I say, go to hell. It makes no difference. You don't understand the mechanism of the sport or the game or how it works.
well, they're
But
just
that is,
well, that's their whole deal too. Because I respect the rivalry, Coach, because that's how you brought me up. I respect. They've always been, you know, a fierce opponent, and it's always something that we look forward to. But these guys just talk and try to get under your skin and try to provoke you, make you get outside your character. But really, you know, it's just the way they are. Now, I mean, I love them.
can I tell you
I
something?
love to play against them. I
So,
love to hate them, but I don't love to hear
yeah,
their
no,
BS all the time.
I take hate out of it. I reserve hate for guys that do horrible things to people.
Yeah. Okay.
And Bin Laden, I mean, I reserve my hatred for people that are despicable terrorists that hurt children, women, and children, people, and all that crazy stuff going on in the world. This is a rivalry. It is a competition between young men, 18 to 22 years old. Now, there's tremendous amount of tension. It's a great spectacle, and my gosh, is it fun! And there's always been a rivalry between our two states. Economically, we fought over Toledo.
Yep.
We won. Ohio State won Toledo. The state of Ohio won Toledo. We won. I love Toledo. That's a joke. That's a joke. We've had a lot of. I love Tony Pacos. That's a joke. But there's a great rivalry, and it's a wonderful rivalry. And I want everybody to maintain their composure. Now, I get mad about some of these stupid things people talk about. And here's what I will say. And this is what I said to a group of little guys a long time ago. This guy, when he cut the kids, he put an X to their name. And he didn't talk to them. He didn't. This Little League sports. He didn't talk to him. He said, well, you can do better. And, you did a good job trying out. We just can't keep you right now. And so that upset me. And I told a group of those little guys later on when they played a team of the guys that were kept. And I won't say anybody always remember. If anybody puts an X through your name, you remember it. And you prove to them that was the biggest mistake they ever made. Now, what they do down in Columbus, they're going on every sign and they're putting a slash. They're putting a slash through every M. So we should remember that. Anybody puts a cross through an M, we'll remember that. And we won't let them do that. We don't do that. I mean, it's a vowel. Oh, it's a vowel. We can't do that. Couldn't read the signs. And then Woody started that stuff, the team up north. I say the Ohio State University. They like to use Old English, the. I don't know why. They're the only nation. They don't say the. But I say it, and I respect them. Some of my best friends I knew the great John Hicks, a wonderful friend of mine, and Archie Griffin, those guys who I competed against, and many of the coaches. I have wonderful respect for them. They're wonderful people, and they're no different than we are. Woody told John Hicks, he said, when the guys, before he died, John, I want you to take care of the guys. John Hicks was the Outland Trophy winner, All-American Ohio State. And if somebody has a problem and there's no Ohio State guy to help him in a town, city, or state where they live, find a Michigan guy. Because a Michigan guy will help you. Because the Michigan guys are no different than us. They're just like us. And so that's how I feel about it. But by the same token, for those 3 hours, Who would we rather play? Who would we rather beat? Who would we rather go against? Who are we going to give more effort to beat? When you play in that game, you give your ultimate effort. You fly down there. First of all, you don't touch the ground when you play in that game. Your feet are five. You're off the ground. You're playing off the ground. You're flying around like a madman. And man, the emotion is unparalleled.
Well, that's how
For the
you. That's
when
how
you
you
play,
feel.
it's the same. You have tears in your eyes, and they'll feel the same way. They're
Well, that's how you.
competitors.
That's how you feel now, Coach. You were recruited in 1969. You were a senior in high school on the sideline when Bo beat Woody. Then you played in the 10-year war. You coached in the 10-year war. You were a part of the whole thing besides 1 year when you were in pro football. What was it like to play in the 10-year war? What was it like to coach in it? What
Yeah,
is
the emotion, is see the thing that when I left coaching, the thing I missed were two things: the guys. Now I competed. I competed in business, so I competed every day. And to tell you the truth, I love coaching, and it was a great honor to be around Bo Schembechler. What a magnificent guy! And Lloyd Carr was my colleague, and Jack Harbaugh, and Don Nealon, Jerry Hanlon, all these magnificent, legendary, iconic coaches, wonderful people. Uh, but I competed in business, and I liked that. And I did international business, and that was good. And I had fun doing that, and still do a little bit of it. But you never in life you experience tremendous emotions, but those are only sort of the seminal moments in life: births, deaths, marriages. In a football game like this, when you've invested yourself so much in the outcome, when you care so deeply, when you play, coach, or watch, you go through these emotional extremes, these highs and lows, and that doesn't happen every day in life. And that's why it's fun, and that's what it's exhilarating, and you get inspired, and you want to win, and you're proud of your school and your parents and your people and your players, and you go and you play like hell, and you do your very best, and you leave nothing leave it all on the field, and that's how you do it. So those emotional swings, and you know that, Rob, we've talked about it because you've done the same thing. It's a transition, so you compete. But it ain't like when you play in those games and you're going up and down, you're behind, you're low, you're ahead. Bo said, we might lose this game 12 times. 12 times it looks like Michigan will lose. But you know what's going to happen? Michigan's going to win 13 times. You know why? Because we're going to persevere. We're going to prevail. We're never going to give up. We're going to fight like hell, and we're going to win. That's how you do it. And
yeah?
there was nobody like him, of course, except for the old man coaching on the other side, who I met several times but wouldn't acknowledge me. He knew exactly who I was. But he looked past me. So that coach of yours, I trained him. And he had this idiosyncrasy. He'd go, I coached him. I coached him. And I encountered him like probably 5 times in recruiting, and it was the same conversation. That coach of yours, I trained him, Then he'd walk away. He'd stare off into space, though. He wouldn't look at me. But I know for a fact he knew I was, because Hicks told me that he replayed the film a lot. He said, because I carried the ball, I fumbled once and I paid for it against Northwestern. He sat me down, the old man, and then put me back in after I'd won the starting position. And when I carried the ball, boy, I guarantee you, I had leverage on the ball and I didn't fumble. And he said, he showed as a training, see that guy, that's how you carry the ball. You see that Thornbladh? He knows how to carry it. That's all Hicks told me that. Now, whether it's true or not, I don't know. But Woody absolutely knew who I was because I was on the staff, but he wasn't going to acknowledge me, because that's part of the rivalry. I acknowledged him and had great regard for him, of course. And
Yeah.
uh, he and Bo were these tremendous, larger than life figures with these unbelievable personalities, but they were dedicated coaches. They thought of themselves as educators, and they cared deeply about the young men and the universities they coached at. The young men, they wanted to see them do better and go on in life. And Woody talked a lot about my youngsters are the finest people at this university. They give this effort, and they give
How,
all to they have all this university, and then they graduate and they go out and they do a good job in life.
how
So
much? How
that's
much?
how.
How much would Bo talk about Ohio State in recruiting, or throughout the season, or on a daily basis? Like, what was that like? And how did he prepare
Well,
you guys? How did he prepare you guys for an Ohio
Well,
State
first of
game.
all, we
Well,
practice for Ohio State. We practice for Ohio State a minimum a half hour every week. We ran with Ohio State. We ran
what
Ohio State's
5-10
offense.
minutes a day, or
Yeah, usually every day, sometimes more than that.
would the
And
players know, or would it be just like you guys?
he
Yeah,
didn't say we're proud for Ohio State now, but we understood they were getting Ohio State's defensive scheme, and then the scout team was running their offensive plays.
yeah,
Now you knew. You knew. We had these games we look forward to. Now we went step by step, and we knew we couldn't get ahead of ourselves. But as coaches and as players, we knew what we had to do to get to the end, and we wanted them to be undefeated and us to be undefeated, and we wanted to play for the championship and the right to go to the Rose Bowl. That's what we wanted. That's what we aimed for. That was our goal. That was our objective, and there was tremendous emotion, energy, and effort put towards that end. Now, when we coached, the first thing we do, if we played a common opponent, if Ohio State had played them 2 games before, we didn't put the last game on. We put the Ohio State game
yeah,
on. So
yeah.
he would look at the Ohio State film and it'd make comments about Ohio State and the players. Now, we'd go back to their last game, no question about that, so we could look at what they did. But it was always there. Ohio State, the opportunity to play them, the importance of the game, the goal, the ambition, the effort, the genuine enthusiasm to play that game never left us.
And
Never left us. It was part of ours, part of the DNA of the program. And these bowl games, the Rose Bowls, there was no championship game. Theoretically, we never. Once in a while, number 1 would meet number 2. So that was the biggest game. And sometimes the bowl games were not afterthoughts, but certainly didn't mean as much to us as beating Ohio State. And that's how it is. I still believe that it's how it is today. Their kids came back. Now they enticed them. They gave them some money to come back, but they want to beat us in the worst way. And
yeah,
Ryan Day is dying to beat us. Because if he loses to us, they're already unhappy with those 3 losses,
oh my
and
God,
he probably never hears the end of it. It's a different atmosphere. I took umbrage to what they did to that quarterback last year, and the kid who ended up transferring, going to Syracuse.
I
That was
think he.
unfair. Ohio State fans and the newspapers, they crucified that poor kid, and the loss was not his. That was not on him.
No, I think he's
And
just as good as Will Howard. I don't think Will
but
Howard's
that's
that great.
but that's indicative. Well, I think Will Howard's a good player. Now, as a pro prospect, he's not highly regarded, but this kid, I think, is a competitor, and he can. I'm telling you, Will Howard, I think we have to stop Travion and Judkins. Got to
Yeah,
stop them. And we got to stop when they give it to those really gifted receivers and they run wide. We got to defeat the block on the outside and tackle. Tackle, tackle, tackle. We got to wrap them up. But
well,
the one guy that I'm worried about running the ball on us, I got to be honest with you, is Howard right now, out of the pocket. I'm
really.
worried about him converting big plays. So I think we got to have a spy on him. I really do. He is 6'3", 240 pounds. He's been around. He won a lot of games at Kansas State, and he's won a lot of games for Ohio State. And I'll guarantee you, he's been indoctrinated, and he knows what this game means, and he'll be ready to play. Now let's talk a little bit about Ohio State. Ohio State is as gifted a team in the country as in terms of personnel. I don't see any glaring weaknesses. I talked about the 23 pro prospects. Now, Indiana felt like they could exploit their corners, and they had Rourke, who's very good at back shoulder throws. We're not there in terms of our passing attack. It's not that as sophisticated. Now, I do think we got to take more. And Samaj, I don't know if Samaj is back, and we got to run some 9 routes. A 9 route is a deep route, is a go route. Now, I think we should do a hitch and go. And then see if we can throw it past them a couple times. I think we have to loosen them up. By the same token, we got to block and we got to run the ball. Now he's got to do a good job taking care of the ball. Davis Warren did a great job last week, except for that one pass that sailed and he got it intercepted. And he learned from that too. He's learning all the time and seeing the game and it's slowing down. This is by far the best defense in the country. They've given up 10 points a game. 10 points. Statistically, they're the best. You look at the personnel; they all run 4.5. They all of them. The linebackers, everybody. The linemen, Sawyer. I mean, Sawyer's a 4.4. I mean, I do think when I look at their team, I think we can run on the left side. Unless we want to, maybe it's best to run directly at Sawyer because Sawyer's so quick and he can run the play down. And I'm not certain. Now, Link improved. He's the right tackle, and he's going against Sawyer. Sawyer's the left defensive end. So Link has got to be at his very best from a protection standpoint and from a run standpoint because he's going head to head with one of the best players in the country in the first round draft pick. And the kid can play. And that's crucial to our success. We got to be able to block him. We got to protect when we throw the ball. We got to continue to do what we're doing, which is possession type passes, where we throw relatively safe passes. Throw the ball out. If we throw the ball in, cover the ball up, be ready to hit by these safeties because these safeties can hit you. So we got to do that. And then when we get within 50 yards or 40, we get to their 45. If it's 4th and 3, kick it. If we get 10 possessions, there's 45. You send that kid in, we'll have 30 points. I'm telling you, the difference in this game could be Zavada. He is a magnificent kicker. Now, I looked at their kicker. He's something like 8 for 9, but he has a 46-yarder, but they don't ever kick because I think statistically they're unbelievable. I think 93% of the time they score in the red zone, but they're all touchdowns. They've only had to kick 4 field goals within the red zone. By the same token, we've been successful. I got the statistic here. We've been successful inside the red zone. They're 93.2 inside the red zone, 37 touchdowns, 4 field goals.
Coach, it's
insane. The opponents have only been successful 56% of the time against their defense. We are successful 87% of the time, so we're not bad in the red zone. But that's 20 touchdowns, and then the rest are 7 field goals. So on a percentage basis, we've had to kick a lot more field goals. But if we have to kick field goals, kick them. Yeah. Take the points. Let's not get 8. Let's not be Cowboys, so we got to throw everything to the wind. I'm telling you, I have played in this game where the field goals have decided the outcome. And one time they talked to Woody when we had badly out-statisticked Ohio State, ran the ball up and down the field. And they beat us just on field goals. And Woody said, Michigan out-statistics. He said, if you want to talk about statistics, tell that to the man who drowned in a river whose average depth is 3 feet. He said, I don't want to hear about statistics. It's the final score. So that's how we got to look at it. On this analytics thing, I don't want to ever give them field position. Against Indiana, they started, I don't know, like 8 times, some ridiculous amount, 5 times inside Indiana's 50 on the Indiana 45. And that was to their great advantage. Now, the other thing that happened in this game is kicking. That punt return by that All-American safety who we played against from Alabama.
Caleb Downs, man. Caleb Downs. Man.
So, I've been talking about Tom Doman. Tom Doman's kicked the ball well. You know what we haven't done good? Covering. That's why right now our net punt is not what it has to be. Our net punt is better after the last game. We didn't punt much, but our net punt is 36.6. Now, that's not good enough. We got to be 38 net punt. And that means we kick and we cover. Chrysler said Notre Dame had these great return guys. He said, I don't care who they are. We're Michigan. We kick and we cover and we tackle. And that's how we got to look at it. Now, if we can aim the ball, don't aim the ball because when he aims the ball, it goes off his foot. But kick the hell out of it, then cover. We got to have our special teams guy takes pride and cover and get down there and knock the ball away from him.
I was going to say,
make him fumble.
Make a play.
Their net punt, so is 40 yards, 40.26. So when that 1969 game, you know what the difference in the game was? 2 punt returns. And you know the guy well who did it. It's one of my best friends, Barry Pearson. Yep. He returned 2 punts inside the Ohio State 5. That was 14 points, 24-12. That was the story of that game. And when he did that, that broke the back. Same thing happened with Indiana, and they dropped the punt, gave Ohio State a first down on the 3, and then Downs ran, 70 yards for a touchdown on a punt return. We cannot allow that. We have to have those plays. We have to have their punter drop the ball and take advantage of it. We need the ball to bounce our way. We need to have a great punt return to put us in field position. We need that, or maybe go all the way. We got to make those plays. That could be a big decider. So winning the kicking game. Zavada is a weapon. Use that weapon. Be confident that he's going to kick it through, because I am. I think he's been marvelous this year. I'm not saying give up, but we don't need to go on 4th and 6.
No, no.
Take the 3.
Special teams, I think, is going to be a huge factor. How we play special teams, being strategic with it, not just playing well, being strategic with our special teams, making a big play on special teams. And then, Coach, whenever you play a game in the last Saturday in November, weather is going to be a factor. Right now, it's saying 12 mile an hour winds. It's going to be about 20, 22 degrees. But that's cold, man. There's going to be a lot of stuff that comes into play that you got to be able to run the ball, and we both run the ball well. We don't know, Coach Jeremiah Smith, 900 yards, 9 touchdowns. Who's the other guy? Abuka, 692 yards, 9 touchdowns. Tate, 4 touchdowns, 522 yards. Then their running backs both have 750 yards, 6 and 8 touchdowns. I mean, you're talking about they score when they get in the red zone. That's their 5 top players. We got 9 touchdowns.
Mullins, 832 yards.
Yep.
Donovan, 578. And Donovan has been an Ohio State killer. He breaks runs against these guys.
Yep.
He comes to play against these guys, and I'm counting on him doing it again. Now, I will say this. When you look at the balanced passes to runs, Ohio State is exactly where I think you should be, exactly where Jim Harbaugh wanted to be. They run the ball 55% of the time, and they pass it 45%.
And that's, you know who that is? That's their new old coordinator. That's
Chip Kelly. Yeah. And he's a great coach, because I felt like Day would get impatient.
Oh, yeah.
And one thing I think that Sharon has is patience. He doesn't panic. He doesn't feel like, well, I'm behind by 2 touchdowns, I got to start throwing the ball every down. He'll come back right on there and pound. And then try to get a big play, and then take advantage, get field position. So but Kelly, he's a little bit more impatient, because they did not move the ball until they started to throw it. Now, they did not stop Indiana until they applied pressure, which means if we can block them up front, somebody's going to be open. I hope it's Loveland, and my sense is he'll be back.
I agree.
But that's what that means. So field position is going to be a big part of this thing. When we get in a good position to score, we score. We got a great weapon in the Zavada. Punt the ball, play defense, play out of our mind defense. Mason Graham and Grant are 2 of the best defensive tackles to ever play in the Big Ten, to ever play in NCAA college, to ever play at Michigan. I think Mason Graham is up there in the pantheon of stars. He's up there with Woodson and Carter. That's how strongly I feel about that kid. You watch him, and he's hard to handle. Now, what I hope that he'll do is he's going to, I think he likes Mason where he is, because he always gets doubled, and he comes through the double, which should make it. One of those guys should come free. And that's why Josiah has been one of the reasons been so successful. But those kids, we got to loop those kids underneath, and we got to hit this Howard a couple times. He hasn't thrown a lot of interceptions, but we got to try to hit him. Now, he'll come out of there. That's why, now, one of the good things we have is our 2 linebackers can run. They can run fast. So they got to close. But when Barnum closes, he's got to tackle. You cannot dive. This kid's big and strong-legged. We can't let Henderson scares me. Travion Henderson. Judkins, I like, hard runner. He's going to be a pro. I'm telling you, Henderson scares me to death. He runs 4.35. Boy, I think he's a great back.
Yep.
And I worry about him. We can't let him get going. We got to frustrate them. We got to frustrate them and give them bad plays, which we're capable of on running downs, and force them into passing downs. And then we got to fool Howard with the coverages, and also not let him come out of there. So we got a lot on our plate. That's a lot to ask for. But to win the game, we got to play better than we've ever played. We got to perform better than we're capable of. We got to be at our very best. We got to be so inspired, so going. And the coaches got to get us in the right scheme and get those kids a chance to win. And I think it can happen. Now, it's a monumental task. Does that mean I don't respect the heck out of these guys? Does that mean I don't think they're really gifted? They should have beat Oregon. They gave that game away by just some bad clock management. Not to take anything, I have a lot of regard for Oregon. I think that quarterback is wonderful there. I'd love to have him. But all these things got to come together. And I remember walking in that stadium. They said they put in a paper. 1969. They put in a paper, and I'm going back, 55 years, so it doesn't seem relevant to people. But they put in a paper, Ohio State 450, Michigan 0. That's what they put in the free press, and they all predicted we'd lose. And I walked in that stadium, and it was an atmosphere. I've never felt an atmosphere quite like that. The air was the excitement. It was thick with the anticipation of the game, and the players we had all this momentum going into the game, and this magnificent leader, Schembechler, and all these gifted players. Dierdorf, one of the greatest players to ever play the game. We had all these guys, and it all came together. And we did play a team that Woody felt was his greatest team ever. He felt that was his most gifted, greatest team he ever coached. So can it be done? Yes. Should Notre Dame be concerned about SC out there? Hell yeah, they should.
Yeah.
Should Indiana be worried about Purdue? You're damn right. So Purdue's, talk about a tough season and not much going for them.
But they've played people close.
But I'm going to tell you, that game is a rivalry. That game means a lot. That's for the championship of that state. So, anytime you have a prohibitive underdog and you have these 18, 19, 20-year-old kids say you're not good enough, you're going to get beat. You're going to get your ass kicked. And you got all the pundits talking on TV all the time, telling you what's going to happen, telling you're not good enough. Sometimes things happen. Now, for it to happen, we've got to have the ball bounced away the right way. Coach Schembechler up there in heaven, if he's paying attention, maybe he can assist us, give us a little help there. But we got to make our own breaks.
Well, it was Bo's first year in '69. This is Sharon's first year, 2024. I mean,
Sharon and Bo knew about this rivalry because he had coached at Ohio State in this rivalry.
Yeah.
And, he was around 64 when we had that great team with Timberlake and beat him badly. And then subsequently, Ohio State and Woody got back on top. But so he knew what was going on. And so Sharon knows what's going on. He's coaching this rivalry. He's been on the sideline and he's taking us to victory. And so he knows how to do it. And one thing I liked last week is we had a kid get a personal foul. Sharon got after that kid. He got in his face, which it appears he's starting to grow into the job. You can't tolerate that kind of crap. You cannot. In a game like this, it's unforgivable, and there'll be a lot of emotion, and there'll be punching and fighting and guys saying stuff. You can't. You got to keep your poise. You cannot get a penalty like that. Now, neither team is a penalty team. Michigan's only averaging 44 penalty yards a game, and Ohio State 44. But we got to stay away from penalties. Critical 5-yard penalties on third down situations can take you right out of the opportunity to get a first down. So all those things, hold on to the ball, no mistakes. Play with all the might, enthusiasm, ability you have. Be better than you could be. Defeat your opponent. Be better than him.
Yeah.
You can do it. Keep coming. Don't give up. Persevere.
It sounds simple, but it's our best players got to play better than their best players. And then we have to make big-time plays. I mean, that's what it comes down to, Coach. And, they have Caleb Downs, Jack Sawyer on the defense. I talked about all their offensive guys. They got Denzel Burke out there at corner. We need to –
good style. Kids are good.
But we need to – our guys need to see – our guys need to see those guys, and they need to step up to the plate and take it to them. And it's been done. It's been done. There's a blueprint. They've seen it happen before.
They have all these guys except for Howard. have suffered a defeat, or Smith have suffered a defeat at the hands of Michigan.
Yeah.
And a few of them, 3.
Yeah.
So, I mean, they're not going in there thinking they're not going to get punched, and Michigan's going to roll over. And they're not if they believe that, that's to our great advantage because they will be woefully mistaken. That would be to our great advantage. If they think they're going to roll over us, then we'll see. We'll see because
Well,
we're going to
Coach,
show up.
we've talked
Good
about it.
plan. I believe the coach is going to have a good plan.
We're 20.5 dogs. We've talked about all the things that we need to do to show up on Saturday and through adversity have the biggest win. What would you say if you're in the locker room, if you're with your position group, you're the head coach, what are you going to say to the boys on Saturday to get them ready for the game? Not get them, you don't want to get them going too much, but you want to get them going into that game feeling good, ready to play the biggest game of the season.
Well, here's how I felt about that game. You don't have to say a word.
Yeah.
There's nothing to be said. We understood. We knew. Now, the old man would stand up and say, "Men, we're going out there together today. We're together. We're going to play as a team. And in the end, it's going to be Michigan." And then what I would say to my players in warm-ups, they'd be, you get so much adrenaline. I would say to Anthony and those guys, "Anthony, let's be calm. Let's not expend all our energy in warm-ups. Let's expend it in the game." So I purposely say, let's be calm. Let's get ready to go. Let's be focused. But let's not be running around going crazy, and that can happen. You're exhausted after the pregame because you're too fired up. You gotta be emotional, but you gotta be emotional at the right time. I would say to my guys, and this is what I would say to them: be at your best today. Be at your best. Be at your best. Be Michigan. That's what I would say to them, and they did, and they all came to play.
Yeah.
And when it got tough, guys like Carter, he would say to me, "Give me the ball, coach. Give me the rock."
Yeah.
And then if you got them running, good things were going to happen. And that's how we did it. We were stone-faced. We had ice water in our veins, and we were focused. And that's what this team has to be. They've had adversity, and they've been criticized roundly by the press and everybody else. I myself have not been happy with some of the things. I don't like mistake football. That's coaching and that's playing. You got to be conscientious about that. You can't be a mistake player. You cannot make mistakes in athletics and win successfully. But I see the evolution of this team, and I see the coach growing. He got in that. You know what? I was so happy when he got the face that kid who got that stupid penalty. I mean, he ripped him. And I saw him at Michigan State in Oregon when we started slow, but we started slow. And he went over and he got after them. He got the offense together and he got on them. But we can't wait. We got to start fast, man. We got to start fast. We got to be ready to sprint from the gate. We cannot come out slow. Ohio State historically has come out slow this year. And both teams are going to feel each other around a little bit, be afraid of making mistakes. They're going to throw, I'm going to tell you, they're going to test our defense and they're going to throw downtown. And if they do that, if the guy holds on to the ball, we got to sack him. We got to pressure him so he can't sit back there with the liberty to throw on his own time. We got to destroy his timing. We got to get to the spot and make him reset his feet. We got to get to his right arm. We got to attack his right arm. By the same token, we got to find out where they're vulnerable. I think we can run to the left. I think their left defensive end, I think their strongest player is their left defensive end. But the right defensive end, I think, is blockable. I think we can have success over there. Now, the linebackers, it seems to me, line up really deep. So if we can get there and get one-on-one, we got to defeat the linebackers, not just with a block, but with these running backs. I like Mullins. I like him. He is a strong, tough kid. I like Donovan. Great leader, and he's been a great player against Ohio State. And then if we can get through there and get one-on-one to safety, we can break a big one. But I think that's why they have the linebackers back so far, because historically they've had them up too tight and playing inside, get caught in the wash, and then you get that's why Donovan and those guys we blocked got to the second level. Then they beat safety, boom, done. And then I want our receivers to make some plays. They are coming along too. They haven't showed up much. They haven't been much of a factor. But Moore was really good. Now, Moore, when you get that ball, turn on the defender and beat him. Beat him with a great move. And if you come inside, go back out. Go back out because everybody's coming inside. And protect the ball because they're going to come and try to punch it. And the same thing is true with all those guys when they break in the open thing. Davis, Warren, believe in yourself. My God, you overcome more adversity than any of us. Any man on that field. You faced life. I mean, you mortality in the face as a young man, and you conquered it. Come there and kick ass and have a great game and play within yourself and no mistakes and lead the team and have some fun because I have the greatest regard for you, and I know Michigan fans do too. I mean, there's been a special kid, and he went through adversity too in this season. They sat him down, and everybody discounted him, and now he's back. And he led at 50 points last week, made some really great throws, led the team, but also threw the ball away when it was important. So that's where we are. And those offensive linemen, I hope they're healed. They started to block. And that was not, now, Northwestern's not a great team, but their front five, the tackles, defensive tackles, and the ends, and the linebackers were really tough, hard-nosed players. And they blocked them. Now, the caliber of Ohio State, I don't know. Ohio State has great team speed. I think we have good team speed. We got to contend with their team speed. We can't give them big, long ones. We can't let Smith and Ibuka get long touchdowns on us. We got to make them go the long way. It's like when you're playing tennis, keep returning it, and let the other guy hit it in the net. We got to just stay on and make them go the long way. Punt, play great defense, and then when we play offense, when we get in a position to score. And we got a great field goal kicker. Have confidence in that. Hold them under 20. Hold them to 20 or under. And they get 24, get 21. That's what we need to do. However, if you want to add that up.
Absolutely.
And it's easy to say, but it can be done.
Well, it'd be nice to see us cover how we covered Harrison last year. I hope we watch in our game last year and we do some of the similar things on defense that we did against Marvin Harrison Jr.
That was Mikey State.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that was. I mean, you can call the same defense. Go ahead, Coach.
These guys can do it. We can do it. This would not be the biggest upset in the history of sports. Now, it will be an upset if we can do it, but it's not Ali versus Joe. Old Sonny Liston. It's not that. It won't be. It's not App State beating Michigan.
Yeah,
those are
Vanderbilt beating Alabama.
Well, as it turns out, maybe not such a big thing because Alabama's strong. But in life, we talked about it's not what happens to you that counts, how you react to it. So we've had adversity. We talked about the most satisfying, the greatest victories come when you've been counted out, when you're told you're not good enough, when you're told you're not going to make it, you're not smart enough. You're not talented enough. There's better people. You didn't go to a good enough school. You haven't distinguished yourself. You're not good enough. We don't want you. You're average. Average. M is for mediocre. It's not Michigan. Well, these are 18, 19, 21-year-old kids. They're coming off an emotional victory. We're coming off on a victory that I feel like we were inspired by, and we saw how good we can be. We saw that and it's starting to come together. The schemes and what the coaches are teaching, it's starting to late in the season, but it's starting to come together. And maybe the timing is right. I'm counting on our guys. I believe in Michigan. I believe in our players. I believe in our coaches. I'm going to be tears in my eyes prior to the game, anxious for them to go out and be at their very best. And if they do that, whatever happens, happens. Whatever happens, happens. And we'll be okay. We'll be okay. We'll survive. But we're going to go out there and give it our best. We got this coach. He's a tough guy, lineman from Oklahoma. He ain't going in there. He ain't afraid of Ohio State. And he's conveying that to our players. Wink Martindale's coaching Super Bowls and every other damn thing. There's nobody better. There's no lineman out there. No lineman on either side that's better than Mason Graham. None. So we got players. We got guys. And sometimes guys can rise up above themselves. and give these unbelievable efforts and be better than they thought you could be. And that's what we got to be. Everybody's got to be together. We got to be together, and we got to hang in there. Hang in there. If things look bad, we got to keep fighting. We can't give up. We got to. If they get ahead 12 times and it looks bad for us, on the 13th time we score and we beat them.
Yep.
That's what we got to believe.
Yeah, I'm excited to see the opportunity for these kids to get their chance in this game, and rise up, play together, and play above themselves, and do it for Michigan. So I'm pretty pumped, Coach. You got me
Remember these
fired up.
games when you play in these games and you coach in these games, and when you're a fan watching these games, you remember them forever.
Yeah.
You remember these games forever. These games mean a lot, and they mean a lot for them. I respect them. I respect the Ohio State University or whatever they want to call themselves. I'm not going to call them Team Down South. I'm not going to insult them. I'm going to call them by their name, their given name, just like I would any man or woman. I'm not going to make up names. I'm going to call them who they are and tell them I respect the Ohio State Buckeyes. By the same token, we're not going down there to lay down. We're not conceding victory. We're going to be at our very best. We're going to play our best. We're going to be at our best. If we do that, we're going to be okay.
Well, you heard it here first with Coach Thornbladh. We will play at our best. We'll get a win. Go Blue.
Go Blue.